In this episode of Crime, Cocktails, and BS, we discuss topics that some listeners may find distressing or triggering. Please be advised that this episode contains discussions of murders involving rape and sexual assault. If you or someone you know may be sensitive to or affected by these topics, we recommend exercising caution or considering whether this episode is suitable for your current emotional state. Your well-being is important to us, and we encourage you to prioritize self-care and skip this episode if you believe it could be distressing for you. Thank you for being part of our podcast community, and please don't hesitate to reach out to a mental health professional or a trusted individual if you need support. Happy spooky episode, everyone.
Hello, spooky
Hello, spooky ookie. Happy almost Halloween. How you doing?
Hi everyone. I am
everyone.
Kaisa the cat, and that is Alex the mouse.
I'm a mouse, duh.
We love Halloween.
We love it. Honestly, I decided to be a mouse because Kaisa said she was being a cat and had ears. So I was like, also totally forgot we decided we were going to quote unquote dress up for the episode.
Same. That's why this was an easy little costume.
So when you were like, I have my cat ears on, I was like, fuck. I'm gonna go do my face quick.
Well, we talked about wearing witch hats, and then I couldn't find it.
Clearly didn't happen.
Yeah.
But I think this is fitting because, like, we have dogs, you have two cats. Like, it just it works for the community.
For animals, we fit in to the family.
Yeah, exactly. What is your favorite? Okay, let's start off nice, because if you didn't hear the trigger warning, we're about to get real intense.
It's an intense episode.
Yeah, so please be forewarned. But I think in the description part of the episode, we'll put what time, like, we talk about reality TV in there. So in case you're listening and you want to skip ahead, or if this is too much, like if this is topics you want to stay away from, we'll let you know, like,
we understand.
Get back in board. Yeah, we totally get it. I don't know if we totally knew what we were getting into.
We didn't.
No. Yeah, but fun question first. So when you were little, what was like your favorite, what was your go-to costume, and what was your favorite candy? And is it still your favorite candy now?
That's a good question.
Thank you.
I feel like my costumes over the years, if I look back on like my little kid costumes, they are horrifying. Like I just like plastered like the colored makeup all over my face and just like went with it. Like I was usually some weird ghoul thing with like black circles. Like I think I was a rabbit at one point.
That's so cute.
But it was like a scary ass I did my own makeup rabbit, so it looked like it was from a horror show. Like
the Johnny Darko buddy.
Yes. I think I always loved Reese's Pieces.
Yeah, me too.
And now I love sour candy.
Me too.
Really? What was your go-to costume?
So it was always between Minnie Mouse or a witch. My mom said I always made a really good witch, which I do. I definitely do. But at the same time, I was like, is that also an insult? Should I be offended? But it was before I could be offended. I was like 6. And then my favorite candy was between a Kit Kat and a Reese's. Those were like my 2.
Kit Kat, yes.
But now, like you, I'm all about the sour candy, like Sour Patch Kids, all day, every day. Have you had the ones that have the split head?
No.
The head is a different flavor than the body.
No.
Game changer. Like
what?
I had them for the first time over.
I don't think I've had those
last weekend. Gosh. Oh my God.
Oh, I'm
change your life.
Getting some.
Yes.
I still have to go buy Halloween candy. No one trick-or-treats around here though.
I was gonna ask you, do you get trick-or-treaters?
There's like a new app now, apparently, for kids that people mark if they're handing out candy on the map. Have you seen that?
That's kind of nice. No, I live in an apartment building.
Yeah, but it's on, I don't know. I saw it on Nextdoor because I'm like a white bitch that's looking on next door because I think the posts are hilarious. That's all.
Oh my God, no, they are. I'm still a part of my LA next door
It's
community because
so
I want to
funny.
keep reading what happens
It's
out
a
there.
bunch
It's
of
so stupid.
Karens.
It really is. It's great. I love
Someone
it.
stole a tomato from my bush. Like, seriously, people freak out. Anyway,
Don't enough crazy things happen over there? Like the tomato being
yes,
stolen from a bush is like the least of everyone's worries.
I know. Yeah, this neighborhood's weird. So they do that, and then they do like a parking lot trunk trick-or-treating where they meet at like a school, and then everyone like sits in the back of their car and hand.
Oh, that's nice and safe.
I know. I think
I
in this
like that.
age, it might be the best
Yeah,
way
that's
to do
kind of a
it.
nicer way of doing it because then you know who's there.
Yeah,
Instead of
yeah.
like, hey kids, go run up to this random person's house.
Honestly, I'm glad I'm not having kids. I would be scared 24/7.
I'm happy I grew up, I trick-or-treated in the 90s when it was like free
Right?
for
We just
all.
ran around like they would drop us off in the
We
like rich
ran.
neighborhoods and like we
Yes,
would go get
because
the
you knew
big
that's where
candy
they'd get the big candy bars. Yes, yes.
and you
My
just run
dad,
around.
yeah, so I grew up in the same neighborhood my dad grew up in. And there was one year, it was like always the dads who took us Halloween, like trick-or-treating, the moms never
Mm-hmm.
came. So I knew one year we were walking and all the kids were screaming, and my dad stopped all of us. And I looked at my uncle and I said, $10 says he's going to look at all of us and goes, who's lived in this neighborhood the longest and knows whose house has the best candy? And sure enough, my dad turned around and was like, who's lived here over 10 years? We're all like 8 years old. Of course, none of us have lived there for over 10 years. He's like, yeah, so I know where to go. My uncle looked at me and goes, I owe you $10. It's like, I know.
I love that. That's so
Yeah.
cute.
Do you remember what you were for your first Halloween? Do you know? Not that you would remember, but do you know what you were?
I think I was like a pumpkin or something,
Oh,
but I don't know. I'll have to ask my parents.
I was a cow.
Oh my gosh, that's a good one. That's a
I
good
was a cow.
one.
Do we know what Coco's being?
No, I don't
Did
think she's
Alex tell us?
decided.
Our friend Alex, who we love and adore, had a baby in June, and our little niece is gonna be something for Halloween. We can't wait to see. And
Oh
then I
my
also don't know
gosh.
what Leonida's being. We got
Me
to find
either.
out.
Yeah,
What
we
are
have
these
to ask
kids?
them.
These kids who are so a part of our lives. We don't
I
know.
know. Well, Alex has been
Uh,
like throwing photos of different costumes, so I'm like, it's gonna be one of
yes,
those,
that's true. I
maybe.
know, but Gianna
Maybe.
hasn't thrown any, so
Mm-mm.
we need to know what these kids are being.
Yes, we do.
Ugh. Okay. Anyway, that was a nice diversion from having to. Oh,
Wait,
cocktail. Let's get into the
cocktail.
cocktail.
Yes. So Dane,
Yay, more putting this off.
Welcome to Kaisa's Cocktail Corner.
our mixologist, Dane, put together this, and Dane is my husband.
We
He put
love
together,
Dane.
he's great. He's a cartoon character. So he put together this very Halloween themed drink. It is so cute.
I love
Has little
it.
pumpkins.
Oh my God, it's
Um,
the pumpkin candy corn things. I love
yes,
those.
me too. I used to think they tasted like wax, but I love
No,
them
they're
now.
so good. They're so good. Anyway, what
Um,
is this
so it is
concoction?
vodka, Kahlua, pumpkin spice, coffee creamer, and garnished with pumpkin candies. And I'm
It's the Great Pumpkin, Charlie Brown.
mmm,
All right, we're calling it the Great
yum.
Pumpkin.
It's really good.
Okay.
Really good.
The Great Pumpkin is the cocktail of the
The
day.
great, oh yeah, I didn't name it. So that's a
I
great name.
know, I didn't know what it was before. Normally you tell me what you're drinking before.
It was a whirlwind.
It's a surprise
It was
today.
a surprise.
I love a surprise.
Yes. Another surprise is how horrifying this case was that
Oh
we
my God,
chose.
it's so scary.
And we were like all excited about it because the initial little like what we read
Okay.
was interesting, but
Well,
then it got real intense.
well, can we tell the people how we really came to decide on this case?
Yeah.
Kaisa texted me and said, "You want to talk about the Candy Man?" I said, "Sure."
And I
Kidding?
just watched the movie that came out, like that's called Candyman, and it's
Oh, that scary
somewhat
movie?
based. Yeah, it's like not really based on this, I don't think, but
I don't think they'd make a movie based on this.
no,
Uh-uh.
no,
No,
no.
no.
Yeah. So another little trigger warning. You can fast forward to the time
Yeah,
marked.
start fast forwarding now to time marker written in description.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Yay. Okay, I don't even know where to start. Like this is such a I have 7.5 pages
I have so many notes too. It's
typed
nuts.
notes on this case. It my spine is already tingling having to
Well,
talk about it. But
okay.
where do you
I
want to
can
start?
just give a little overview. So
Yes, let's do an overview and then we'll go into who he is
the
and then
details.
the accomplices. And I already want to hide under my
I
curtain of
know.
hair.
It's insane. But it happened. So
It did in the 70s, of
it's a
course, like
story. Yes. So Dean Arnold Corll, I believe that's how you say it. I
I
looked it
think you're
up.
right.
Um,
Yes.
he was an American serial killer and sex offender who abducted, raped, tortured, and murdered a minimum of 28 teenage boys and young men between 1970 and 1973 in Houston and Pasadena, Texas. He was assisted by two teenage accomplices, David Owen Brooks and Elmer Wayne Henley, and the crimes, which became known as the Houston mass murders, came to light after Henley fatally shot Corll, and it was considered the worst example of serial murder in the United States history. And Corll was also known as the Candyman and the Pied Piper. So those are like the nicknames that he was given after all this came to light.
Yes,
So we can go dive into it. That was just a little overview.
Yes. Great. I had the same overview. So
great.
good stuff.
Wonderful.
Yeah. So a little bit about Corll. I wanted to call him Carl so bad, but it's not. It's Corll. Also, the victims are called the Lost Boys, which if you look it up, there's actually some like documentaries and really interesting articles about them. And most recently they've been trying to attach this DNA finding to one of the victims that they weren't able to identify.
It's crazy. They have identified almost all 28, right? It was, or 27 of them. So
yeah.
wild.
It's been wild that he's so, like Kaisa said, he started his murders in 1970 to 1973 with, if you take that to 20, if you think about it, it's at least 28. So let's say it was 30, that's 10 a year. And he died in August of 73.
It was a rampage.
With two accomplices. So a little bit about Corll. He was born Christmas Eve, 1939 in Fort Wayne, Indiana, to Mary Emma Robison and Arnold Edwin Corll. He was the oldest of two. His younger brother was around, didn't really have as much issues with the family like Corll did. His father was pretty strict, whereas his mother was more of a protective.
She was very
protective
to them, like a helicopter mom.
Yeah, basically. It almost feels like that's a common thread in
it does seem like
like older generational families, at least from, I don't know, not even what we've talked about on this, like even, I can't believe I was going to say this, Walk the Line. So like Johnny Cash's dad was like super strict and his mom was very protective. Like is just like a common I don't
probably
feel like
that's has something to do with wars and trauma and like all of that.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, so Corll's parents got divorced in 1946 and then they ended up getting back together later on and then divorced again.
Yeah.
And they moved from Indiana down to Memphis, Tennessee, where Corll's father was drafted into the Air Force. And then by being put into the Air Force, it allowed the kids to remain in contact with him. And then like I said, they attempted to get back together. They moved to Pasadena, Texas, and they remarried in 1950, but then they divorced again in 1953, and the mother was able to retain custody. A bit of
that didn't happen in the 50s.
That didn't happen much. Like,
women weren't allowed to have credit cards or like banks
or be like financially literate,
independent. Yeah. So it's kind of crazy.
Yeah. And it's nuts. Also, to marry the person you were already married to.
Lots of people do that these days.
I know, we're going to be talking about Salt Lake City, and that's exactly what Monica did. So it's like, okay, yeah. A little bit about his childhood and his teenage years. So, Coral was always described as very shy, serious. He rarely socialized with other children, but he did display a lot of concern for the well-being of others. He suffered an undiagnosed case of rheumatic fever at 7, which wasn't recognized until doctors found that he had a heart murmur in 1950. So he had to avoid PE classes. And then in high school,
sad. I had to look up what rheumatic fever was.
I did too. I had no idea. Yeah.
But that's kind of sad.
Yeah, and then he was, again, like, regarded as a well-behaved student, very smart, was also considered a loner. He occasionally dated, but not really. His only major interest was playing the trombone in their school band. So definitely keeping himself to himself.
Yeah, he was very quiet.
Yeah.
I have that he enlisted in the Army at age 24. And then I could not find if he was only in the Army for a year or...
He was only in it for 10 months.
10 months, okay.
Yeah.
Why? Do you have...
Yeah, so I do. Yeah, so he was originally drafted in 1964 and was assigned to Fort Polk, Louisiana. Okay. Then moved to Fort Benning, Georgia to train as a radio repairman. And then he finally had his permanent assignment at Fort Hood in Texas. He apparently hated military service. He applied for a hardship discharge on the grounds that he was needed for his family business, which by that time, so after his mother divorced his father for the second time, she met her next husband, whose name was Jake West, and they started a small family candy company, which was initially operating from the garage of their home, which Coral worked at day and night. His brother also worked there. They were responsible for the candy making machines and packing and distributing. And his stepfather would do the sales route, which is also kind of why he was nicknamed the Candyman, because in 1958, his family moved to this area called Houston Heights, which is a part of Houston, but it's a bit more outside. It was considered more of like a slummy neighborhood. So they moved there after he graduated high school, and they could be closer to the city where the majority of the product was sold, instead of his stepdad having to leave Pasadena and keep going back into Houston. And then they opened a new shop where they named it Pecan Prince, which was their like #1 candy they sold. And then right before he was drafted in 1964, in 1963, Coral's mom divorced West and opened their own business called Coral Candy Company, where Coral was appointed the vice president of the company, which is why then when he was drafted and he was trying to be discharged, he was saying he had to get back to his job as the vice president of this company. It was at that time, however,
that is very important.
Yeah, very important. I mean, the Army did grant him his request. And so he only served for 10 months, but it was during that time that he divulged to some of his like closer acquaintances that it was during that period of service that he realized he was gay. And then to some other acquaintances, to some other acquaintances, they noticed subtle changes in his mannerisms when they were when he was in the company of like teenage males after he completed his service and returned to Houston, which led them to believe that he was also gay. There was also, before he went into the army, there were some teenage male employees of the candy company that complained to his mom that he was making sexual advances towards them. But instead of talking to him about it, she actually just fired the teenagers instead.
Yikes.
Yeah.
Big yikes. Okay, sorry, this is so off topic.
No,
but
go for it.
I noticed when I was reading about this is all the different jobs that are so outdated. Like, can you imagine if someone was a clock salesman these days and making a living?
Yeah.
Clocks,
Like,
radio repair man, like
yeah.
what?
But like, even
so
if you think
different,
about
such
it,
a
like the
different.
Avon ladies who used to drive around with all the makeup in their car, and like the knife salesman, and like the vacuum person, and like
Yes,
all those things. It doesn't happen anymore.
like my sister-in-law is a Mary Kay sales lady and she does it online. Like everything's online.
You're telling me this now?
Do you buy Mary Kay?
No, I think of it like an MCM, but I love it. I think it's so fascinating. Sorry.
She does a great job.
I'm sure.
I know. I think of it as just like a giant pyramid scheme, but yes.
Yeah, an MCM.
It is.
Yes.
It is. Yes.
Well, we have to get into Rue La La one day.
Oh my gosh, that documentary is nuts.
Anyway, yes.
Anyway.
Yeah,
there were lots of like comments about him hanging out with teenagers, and people were just for some reason shrugged it off and just thought he was like buddies with lots of young people. And like today that would obviously be flagged immediately. But
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I think a big part of that too, though, is that when he came back after his, if we can even call it service, like he helped like relocate the store from where it was to what they called 22nd Street, which is directly across from an elementary school. And then it allowed him to give out free candy, which they were already doing.
They're giving
at the
out
other
like
location
broken candy.
Yeah, but now it's right across the street from an elementary school. So this is what, 1965, 6, 7. Like kids are gonna run across the street, grab candy. He also like installed a pool table at the back of the candy factory where all the employees and like local kids could go and hang out. And so as a result of all this, they nicknamed him the Candyman or the Pied Piper because all these kids would just come and follow him.
So easy to lure them.
Yeah. And one of these kids was David Owen Brooks, who became one of his accomplices. They met in 1967. They regularly socialized. He hung out at the back of the candy factory.
They partied.
So Brooks's parents were also divorced, and his dad was in Houston, where Coral was, and his mom relocated to Beaumont, which I didn't really look up how far that is, but I'm sure. I don't know. I'm from Rhode Island. I don't understand the size of Texas.
Yeah,
like 26 huge. Rhode Islands. I don't get it. Yeah. But yeah, so then it started getting weird because then he would start joining Coral on like regular trips to South Texas to go to the beach.
Like what?
Can you imagine? Young kids. Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
No.
And I guess he had glasses and he felt kind of like scrawny, and Coral was the first adult who didn't make fun of his appearance, and he ended up viewing him as a father figure after he needed money, and Coral gifted him some.
And then eventually paid him to bring victims.
First before that, it was sexual. It turned into a sexual relationship where Coral paid Brooks with not just money, but also gifts to allow him to perform fellatio on Brooks. Not even the other way around, which I feel like this is grooming.
It's about power, so makes sense.
Yeah. Ugh. Absolutely. And so this started in 1969, and then in 1970, Brooks dropped out of high school and he moved to Beaumont to go live with his mom. And then he would go back to Houston and visit his dad, but then during those times he would also see Coral. And Coral would let Brooks stay at his apartment, And then eventually he moved back to Houston and called Coral's apartment his second home.
Absolutely grooming. Yeah, he's like
100% grooming.
ugh.
And then this is when Elmer Wade Henley starts joining in 1971 because Brooks introduces Henley to Coral. And he sets up the same offer of $200 for any boy he could lure to Coral's apartment. They informed Henley that Coral was actually involved in what they were calling a white slavery ring that was operating outside of Dallas. But Henley, for like several months, was like, absolutely not. I'm not going to be a part of this. Like, completely ignored it.
Yeah.
And then in 1972, he decided, actually, my family is in dire financial ruin. Like, I need money. Okay, I'll do it.
Right. It's so gross.
And then Henley just goes off the deep end with it and is completely sadistic in how he participates in all the murders. And
yeah, very involved in everything. And
I mean, he later admitted that he became fascinated with how much stamina people had when murder was occurring and
being tortured.
yeah.
So in September 25th, 1970, Coral killed his first known victim, an 18-year-old college freshman named Jeffrey Conan. He vanished while hitchhiking with another student from the University of Texas to his parents' home in Houston. So that was the first known victim that he started all of this killing spree with. Yeah, I mean, we have to dive into the details, which is really
Yeah. So
shitty.
the victims were usually males aged between 13 and 20, the majority which were in their mid-teens. Most of them were abducted from Houston Heights, which we already talked about, that Coral had lived in. He understood the neighborhood. Several of them were friends of either Brooks or Henley or both. They would become acquaintances of Coral prior to their abduction and murder, and two of them were actually former employees.
So they trusted him. Like, these people thought of him as a friend, and then he turned on them. And
exactly.
Awful.
And then the way that they lured these poor boys was really bad. So they would lure them
parties, right?
Yeah, so it would start with being lured into one of two vehicles that Coral owned. One of them was actually Brooks's car that he purchased. It was an offer to go to a party or a lift to one of the various addresses that Coral lived at between 1970 and 1973. I think he moved like 4 or 5 times. There were a good amount of addresses. They would then be plied with alcohol and drugs until they passed out. And then this is when I had to stop taking notes because it got so intense. So if you need a time to pause, this is definitely a good moment to pause.
It is.
Yeah. So once they passed out, Coral and Brooks and or Henley would then strip the victim naked and tie them to either Coral's bed or this plywood torture board, which was regularly hung on a wall. They would then be sexually assaulted, beaten, tortured, and sometimes after several days killed by either strangulation or shooting with a .22 caliber pistol. He would force his victims to either phone or write to their parents with explanations for their absences in an effort to keep the parents' fears at a low for their son's safety. And he was also known to retain keepsakes, usually keys, of the victims.
Yeah.
And then they would be buried at one of 4 burial sites that were pointed out. Actually, Brooks in 1973 led the police to Conan's burial site. Yes. So 17 of them were buried at this rented boat shed, which is where Conan was. Many of the other victims were buried in this woodland area near Lake Sam Rayburn. One victim was buried on a beach in Jefferson County, and at least 6 were buried on a beach on the Bolivar Peninsula. So,
And
of...
yeah, so he killed at least 28 people, but there were 42 boys that had disappeared within the Houston area between that time. So it's probably likely more.
Absolutely.
Actually, we skipped how it all came to an end, which was kind of
crazy.
Yes.
I got
crazy.
I got 2 pages just on the final confrontation.
I mean, it's wild. Like, yeah. Coral was upset one day because Curly and Henley brought a girl over to his house. They all drank and got wasted, and when they passed out, he tied up all 3 of them and said, when they woke up, he said he was going to have some fun and kill them both, which is so horrifying.
Yeah, after telling Henley that he ruined everything by bringing a girl. So the whole reason the girl was there in the first place was that the original plan was that Henley was bringing 20-year-old Timothy Curley to Coral's to be his next victim.
Right.
They drank until midnight, and then they left for a little bit saying that they would return. But when they had gone back to where they were, Henley had seen his neighbor, 15-year-old Rhonda Louise Williams, walking toward her home, and he noticed that she'd been beaten by her father, who was drunk, and he decided that instead of letting her go back into that bad place, he was going to take her with them. So this is why Coral got so pissed off, because he's like, why is there a 15-year-old girl in my house? I don't want her.
Yeah.
So he got, like Kaisa was saying, he got all 3 of them drunk. Henley and Curly were also like sniffing paint fumes.
Yeah, huffing
like their
paint.
drug. Yeah, that was their drug of choice, and they all passed out. Woke up finding that he had handcuffs on him and was tied up. His mouth had been taped shut, and he also had seen that Curly and Williams were also bound with nylon rope and gagged, and they were lying face down on the floor, and Curly had already been stripped naked.
Yes.
And this is when Curl started yelling at them, saying like, man, you blew it, bringing that girl, I'm going to kill you, but first I'm going to have fun.
Dragged him into another room and was like starting to do whatever to him, and he started begging him, and he said, like, I'll help you murder these other 2 if you let me go, if you undo these ties. And he let him go, and he managed to grab his pistol out of his hand. And he said, you've gone too far, Dean. I can't go on any longer.
Wait, you skipped ahead.
All my friends. What?
You skipped stuff.
I don't have more stuff.
I got you. So before
you
that,
fill it in, Alex.
I'll fill in. Okay.
Okay.
So, yes, here's the scene. Coral dragging Henley to another room, and he said he was gonna. Coral said that if Henley participated in the murders, that he would let him go. And Henley said, fine, I'll do it. And then Henley carried William, so the girl, into another room after begging Coral to let him do that, so he could torture Curly in his room by himself. Coral said fine. He handed Henley a hunting knife and ordered him to cut away William's clothes. And when Coral ignored him after another question, Henley grabbed the pistol and shouted, you've gone far enough, Dean. I can't go on any longer. I can't have you kill all my friends. There we go.
Yes, you got it. You filled it in.
This is why we both take notes, guys.
Horrifying scene. He actually shot Coral several times and kind of missed like vital spots. So he was still alive, crawled after them down the hallway, and then he finally shot him again and he died.
Yeah, the
Um,
first shot hit him in the forehead, but like
mhm.
grazed the forehead. Then he fired 2 more rounds, hitting Coral in the left shoulder, and then fired 3 additional bullets into his lower back and shoulder. And then you can actually see the picture of Coral on the ground with the bullet holes.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
didn't want to
I
come
saw
across
that.
that and it popped up.
I didn't mean to. It just
It's just
happened.
there. Yeah.
Just there.
At
But
least
yeah,
he's
and
like
then
facing away. It's less gruesome.
yeah,
Oh,
but
anyway.
that's how he met his end.
Yes. Thank goodness. I mean, it needed to come to an end. That's horrifying.
It's yeah, I cannot imagine what Houston, Texas was like during that, and when it's 3 years of these boys disappearing, and then
Everything's bigger
in
in
73
Texas.
you find out, and
Sorry,
then
that
the
was
next
not.
day,
Did you hear me?
no, what happened? Did you burp?
I said everything's bigger in Texas, and then I felt
Including
bad.
murder?
Yeah, and then I
Damn
felt
it.
bad.
Liza, you cold-blooded, girl. You should have dressed up as a
Sorry.
snake.
I know. It's not okay to say, but hey.
Also, I don't know why all of a sudden I think a snake has ears, and I'm
Neither
going,
did a snake. I'm a snake.
stupid, Alex.
A dirty snake.
Tricks are for kids.
Okay, so they called the police actually.
Yes, they
There
did.
was some argument over it, but they ended up Henley demanded to call the police. He said, despite being read his Miranda rights, he said, I don't care who knows. I have to get this off my chest. So he
Yeah,
was
they
clearly feeling
confessed
very guilty.
hardcore.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I think probably because like their abuser is dead, so like everything's probably coming to light, like holy shit, we have been doing this.
Yeah.
Like that's nuts. Yeah. So Henley, like you said, agreed to show the police where the bodies were buried. And he led them there. Okay, this is a pretty gross description of what they found. So trigger warning here.
Pause here before
Yes.
another good pausing moment.
So at the boat shed, the first location they found bodies, all of them were buried in plastic sheeting and were either shot or strangled. They found evidence of sexual torture, pubic hairs plucked out, genitals chewed on or cut off.
Wait, I did not read this.
Yeah.
Oh.
Glass objects inserted into rectums and broken.
Oh.
Glass objects in the urethra. Cloth rags in their mouths, wrapped around their faces, tongues pulled out so that the muscles were stretched, and a few had genitals cut off in a bag next to the body. So sorry for that, guys, but that's what they found.
What a sicko.
So sick. It's so
Like
awful.
he was gross already. Like he was awful, man.
I know. It's really bad. So Henley was indicted for 6 murders and Brooks for 4.
And they're serving life in prison without parole.
Yeah, I think
As they should.
Henley got 6 concurrent 99-year terms as his charge. So.
Oh, so sad.
I know. It's a long time. Ugh. Okay, so I found something interesting after this because I was like, how there were all these signs, but like, what about his personality? Like, what?
Yeah.
I don't know.
We love going into the personality and psyche, Kaisa. That's one of our favorite things to do on the show.
So interesting. So like, I found an interview with an old girlfriend, Betty Hawkins. She had known.
Wait, can we pause quick? What a name!
All of these people have insane names.
What a name, though. That is like quintessential 1950s.
I'm
like
Betty Hawkins.
I want to be her friend. Like, is she why the Hawkins? I know it's the Sadie Hawkins dance, but like, is she a descendant? Like, can we get with Betty? I love this name.
Betty.
Go Betty. Go
she
Betty.
Was a divorcee with 2 small boys, and she came forward when all of this came to light.
Oh, Betty, you feisty girl.
I know. And she said Dean was one of the kindest men I've ever knew. If he had something and someone needed it, he'd give it to them. So far as I know, he didn't have any special hobby unless it was helping other people. That guy must have gone through 15 TVs in the past 5 years. Every time I turned around, his TV would be gone and he would give it to someone else. Like, what the fuck? And there's like more and more. She's just ranting about how amazing he was.
Betty, you in danger, girl. She dumb.
It's just like, and there are other people who are like, he was so kind and so helpful, and like he went out of his way to help.
That means he was very good at being manipulative.
So creepy. Yeah. So that's what really creeps me out about these people, is that they're like, they come off and they're really good at tricking people. Really, really good at tricking people and blending
look
in.
At Bundy. Look at Ted Bundy. He was like, there was a like all these people have families, like
families, and they treat them, sometimes treat them right, and like, yeah, it's wild.
How do you do this?
Yeah. It's really fun.
I feel like I need a shower. Oh,
I know.
I just got the chills so hard. Oh,
I know. It's like, I did not know about this case. Like, I've heard the Candyman and that term, and I've heard about a serial killer in Texas, but I did not know how many kids or like teenagers that were victims. I didn't know any of this, and I kind of wish we didn't know about it. but here we are.
Here we are.
Yeah.
And we did it. We made it through the rain like Mariah Carey.
My dogs keep farting and they're in this room, and it's not
Is
pleasant.
that why Dame shut the door behind you?
He's probably like, you get to stay in there with the fart. You get to stay in the fart zone. But yes.
If you've decided to come back and join us, we've finished talking about the Candyman and we're talking about Kaisa's dog's farts.
Dog's farts.
Yes.
Yes. Well,
yes.
Now we can move on to something like lighter. Still,
is it though?
It's never lighter. We always think it's gonna be lighter.
It's never lighter. We're always like, oh, here's the more fun part, like the haha part.
I feel like
actually,
Bravo's light and it's more in depth.
We're talking about like, yeah, what the hell?
Interesting, and it is more fun. Like, there are fun moments.
It is. So it is. I mean, I feel like we can make more stupid comments about. I did not know what you were eating at first. I was like really confused.
The mini cake pop.
I thought it was just like a carrot bit. Like, okay.
Just snacking on carrots.
Hey, that's a good snack.
It is a good snack.
I like a carrot.
I like a carrot too.
I'm really into apples right now.
Yes. Apples with peanut butter, like, come on, it's delicious.
Wait. Do like cinnamon sugar and then you put the slices in, you just mix it around.
Or with tahini. It's delicious.
You love tahini on everything.
I love tahini.
Don't even with the tahini. Anyway, so we are I feel like we're now in like the mid part of Salt Lake City.
Mm-hmm.
Or we're getting
halfway through, probably.
Midpoint. Yeah. And shit is going down. These ladies knew the assignment. They knew what they signed up for, and they came guns a-blazing.
Monica,
girl.
She is like the lead of the season.
We said it a couple episodes ago. Girl, we love your support. Thank you.
We love her.
We support you. We love you. You're fantastic.
We relate to you.
Yeah, we get you.
I love it.
Again, one Boston girl to another.
Yeah.
You're great.
I'm not from Boston, but I love you.
You're honorary. You spend enough time with me, I feel you're fine.
Yeah.
Just like I'm a Wisconsinite / Oceansider.
Yeah, Oceansider.
Honorary.
I love it.
Well, like the Outsiders.
Mm-hmm.
That is West Side Story.
Oh.
Yeah. Sorry. But yeah, so Salt Lake City, where are we at?
Yeah. Dude, there's so much happening. This last episode was crazy. Like,
damn.
I don't know, Meredith and Mary, and there's just a lot going on. Like, what?
And Monica and her mom and Angie K and her husband and Heather and Lisa talking about Jack's mission and what?
Okay, Lisa.
Okay, thank you for
Lisa. The way she makes every single thing about her is absurd
a gift
to me. Yeah.
It's a gift. So my family calls it the Jenna Maroney factor. Because on 30 Rock, she would be like, okay, and now back to me.
Mm-hmm.
That's totally Lisa Barlow.
It is. 100%. Like
everything comes back to her.
During that scene where
which one, her and Heather were talking about at the dessert table?
Yeah, or before that when she was freaking out about Heather actually inviting her over.
Oh, about having Angie over.
Having Angie over, yes.
Yeah.
And she's like, she never did that for me. What? Like, she made it about her. And it's like, she's just let her talk, dude.
I feel like there's this like jealousy factor. Because, I mean, even since season 1, her and Heather just have not been able to figure it out.
Yeah.
And I think Heather is able to relate to people a lot more easily.
Yes.
And I mean, she is more relatable.
Yeah, she's more down to earth.
Yeah, like, I mean, granted, Lisa, you do you. You carry your furry Fendi bag and, you know, cry about your $60,000 ring and then hop on the phone with your jeweler. Like, if you want to think you're Heather Dubrow, go for it, but you gotta be grounded at the same time, like Heather Dubrow is.
Not.
Like, Heather Gay and Heather Dubrow, the Heathers are both grounded.
Yeah, they're grounded. They're in totally different places, but they're grounded.
But they're grounded.
Yeah.
So, like, that's why, like, I don't hate Heather on Orange County, but I don't hate Lisa, but she makes me feel icky.
I gotta say, she's not.
She makes me feel icky about, like, when she's like, I want to feel bad for her when she gets upset about Jack leaving and she's sad about him going to be away for 2 years. But at the same time, I'm like, how can I feel bad for someone who's like turning around and then being like, I need to go spend all this money on frivolous things and then I'm going to make fun of them. Like, when I get into a fight with someone, I'm going to throw it back in her face that she has something nice too.
Yeah, she's not
like when she was yelling at Monica. I'm like, Monica was crying to her mom about buying that Louis Vuitton bag. The only reason she bought that bag was to feel like she was keeping up with you guys.
Mm-hmm.
And you're gonna throw up, and she's like, stop complaining about having nice things. And Lisa just turned around and goes, you have nice things too. That girl worked hard for him.
Yeah, really hard.
Yeah.
It's something about, I don't know, it just doesn't feel, nothing feels genuine from her.
Yeah. Have you ever had Vita tequila?
No. Have you?
Me either. I've never seen it.
Okay, theory. She brings it to every restaurant she goes to and then orders it.
Good theory.
She brings the bottle there.
Should we look it up?
Absolutely. Yeah. There's no way any of those restaurants hold.
Because honestly, I've never heard of it. I've never like seen it on a menu.
I am 100% sure she's placing everything for marketing.
It's a legit. Oh, the bottle's interesting. Okay. I've never seen it before.
Vita tequila. Okay, I don't hate the bottles. They're cool.
No, it's kind of cool.
Right. Oh, they're kind of weird actually. Now seeing it from the side, it's kind of weird. Yeah, I've never seen it anywhere. Does it say where they're held? I'm so interested.
Salt Lake City and it's Park City and Salt Lake City.
That's all it says.
It's a Utah tequila brand. And that's where it's sold.
I doubt it's in all those restaurants. I don't believe it.
Their website says 4.
Okay. So maybe they go to the 4 restaurants that they serve.
Because they go, can I have a Vita cocktail? I'm like, is this your bar?
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, more power to you if it is. Like,
I mean, hey, whatever.
Hey, why not?
Whatever.
You do you, girl. Anyway.
Also, it seems like she just creates the problem she's freaking out about, especially like with her son. And I don't mean to talk like shit about your mothering, but her son does not want to spend time with her.
Yeah, it's kind of sad.
It is kind of sad.
I mean, I feel like that's kind of like a normal thing at that age though. Like,
it is. It's like, I want to get away.
You're 17, 18. Yeah, you want to do your thing.
Totally.
But I think the fight between her and Heather about it is, I kind of understand where Lisa's coming from, but at the same time, like, knowing Heather has gone on a mission, like, I'd want to know whether or not it was positive or negative experience for her. I'd still want to know what her experience was like, because Lisa converted
right
to Mormonism from Judaism. So I would think, as someone who never went on a mission, I'd want to talk to people.
She hasn't read the Book of Mormon either.
No. What did Heather say? She was like, I want to be a part of Lisa's church.
Yes. Drinking or selling alcohol.
All the fun and none of the payments. Like, yeah, I'm in.
Also, the scene where Lisa was like, I haven't read the book. I should read it. I'm well read. I read all the time. Like, no, you don't, girl.
No, you don't. Your text messages don't count. And the nutrient label on a Diet Coke bottle also doesn't count.
The amount of Coke. But
I mean, I drink that same amount of Diet Coke, I think, but
I love Coke.
I mean,
full fat though. I love the full fat.
I can't give me that aspartame.
Yeah. Okay, who do we want to talk about next?
I think we should end on Monica.
Yeah.
Because that was explosive. I feel really bad for Whitney right now and her husband and their relationship. Like, that was really sad. Like, that
it was sad. I have like
a
devil's advocate stance though, because
I love it. Go for it.
You just forced him to lose his job a couple seasons
ago,
and now you're like complaining about him working, and I don't know. It's this,
and she blew through all their savings
to
do. Yeah, but she also then like blew through all their savings to work on her company. Yeah. So like, also, where's that?
I don't like how her husband made it about sex when it was about other stuff. That was annoying, and that was very like quintessential male.
I was gonna say that's bullshit. Such like a guy thing to do.
Such a manipulative thing. But yeah, like the whole like doing 20 chores at once, and then I know that feeling. Seriously. And it's like, you took out the trash.
Congratulations. After I asked you 12 times yesterday.
Yeah,
right. It's like that. Have you seen that thing on TikTok now? It's some woman wrote a song and she was like, you're such a good dad. And she's like, yeah, while I've been doing this, this, and this, and this, and this, then we both take the kid to the park, and the other moms are like, you're such a good dad. And
like,
just because
you're bringing him,
like, you're playing with your kid in the park, good for you, gold star.
Normal like parent activities, and the male always gets
dick. It makes it like, okay, great.
Like, wow, you're doing something.
So annoying.
Yeah. It's a whole thing. Anyway,
I still don't understand like the Whitney and Meredith fight. Like, is that done now? Are they still going? Like, I don't understand where that is.
Me either. It just kind of stopped. Certainly. I don't know. There are other fights happening.
I think the Angie K and Meredith thing just got even worse.
Wow.
Yeah. I did enjoy Heather walking into Angie K's house and like joking around with him about the rumors.
Yeah. She's
like, at least he can take a joke.
It does make sense. Like in Salt Lake City, I'm sure.
Like, it's a guy wears a cardigan, he's considered gay.
Yeah. I feel like that's got to be true. And like, of course, they're gonna start rumors about a hairdresser. Like, that's
a male hairdresser.
Of course, this conservative area is gonna make of course. That. But I thought it was a little weird when he started crying. Like, it made me sad, but like, and I do feel bad for them without all that drama, but it was a little bit too much to cry.
Yeah,
I do agree that he made it clear that it was about cheating rather than being gay. Like, he wasn't upset about being called gay. So that was good.
I appreciated that too. I thought that was like a very,
but
I was gonna say like mature stance, but I feel like it's just a very like progressive stance.
Yeah.
On it, which I appreciated. And then like, it was good to just see them like continue just like being a family and not letting it, deter them from having like their Greek Easter and continue doing like their family stuff.
That party was so bizarre though. I mean, I love the like culture, and like if it would have gone well, without all the
Yeah,
crazy
so
shit happening. Like,
I wish
left and right.
Gianna watched it because she's Greek
Mhm.
Orthodox. So like she
Yeah.
does all this big stuff. Like they always have really big like parties and holidays and things like that. And I know for Easter she actually like fasts
Hmm.
before. So it was interesting to like see them participate in Greek Easter with the lamb and on the spigot and like
Hmm.
all that. It was like I thought that was really cool because I feel like we haven't really seen a different like
Was it a
different
priest
cultural things
or what
on
is it called? Priest?
a
Yeah.
priest. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I thought it was
Um,
I thought it was cool to see a like other cultural things happening on Salt Lake City because like with Jen Shaw, we saw them like practicing Islam and doing their prayers. We got to see a little bit of that, but I feel like we're seeing more
that's so true.
with
And
Angie
in this
K.
franchise too, like I feel like
Mhm.
it's mostly the same across the franchises, but this most conservative one religiously, like
Mhm.
it's interesting that they're showing a bunch of variety.
Well,
I like it.
I think because Salt Lake City is like the helm of Mormonism, I feel like it's almost like their way of showing like no, this is the real Salt Lake City. There's people of different backgrounds, religions, cultures here, not
Yeah.
just Mormons. I mean, obviously Mormonism is going to play a huge part. We see Heather writing her book about it after being exiled. We see Whitney signing her way out of Mormonism. We see Lisa's son going on his mission and Lisa talking about how much she loves her version of Mormonism. Like it still plays a huge part, but it's great that we're able to balance that out with Angie K being Greek Orthodox or Jen Shaw and her family being Muslim. And, you know, Mary is
Hmm.
Mary. And
Have you ever been
like,
to Salt Lake City?
I have, yes.
Me too.
I spent Christmas at Park City one year
Okay.
because my
Yeah.
family goes down there. Like my family on the West Coast goes and skis in Salt Lake City like every winter.
It's so beautiful, but
It
I
is.
definitely felt like weird walking through the city. Like
Yeah.
people are staring. They know you're not like part of the Mormon church. It's very weird.
Yeah.
But
I think Park City is a lot more
yeah.
like it's a lot more comfortable,
Yeah.
which is like where Meredith's store is and like all that.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah. I wish I would have I haven't been there in like 6 years. We stopped there on our way driving out here when we moved out here. My great aunt lived there. She's passed since, but she she was like in her late 80s and was driving us up a mountain, and it was the scariest thing I've ever
Jesus Christ.
experienced. It was like, wow, come to find out she's on a bunch of pain meds. Like
Stop.
we saw a moose, got very close to
A
it.
moose.
Yeah. Um, it's beautiful there. I wish I could go back now that I've watched this franchise. Like I need to go back.
I know.
Go
Do
together.
you we should. I was actually thinking we should do a road.
Botox it.
We should do like we should do like the whole map of
Yes.
Housewives. Do you know what the plural of moose is?
Meese?
It's moose.
I know.
I was
I know.
so sad when I learned that. I
I
was like,
know.
meese.
I wish it were Meese.
Me too.
Um,
What about Mary finding out her son is married?
that was the
Kind
most
of.
bizarre shit ever. It was cute. I don't know, it was strange. She was like, they got dressed up and sprinted out of the house one day.
She was like, and I didn't know
I was like,
why.
I
They're
guess
living in your house.
different wings of the
It
house,
doesn't
but still,
matter.
yeah. He kept that from her. She cried a little. It was very weird.
Honestly, I felt like that was the most human. I mean, that was
I
like,
know it
yeah,
was.
it was the most human we've seen
It
Mary.
was a glimpse of like the alien veil, like pulled back.
Like the high maintenance
Yeah,
portion of Mary just slid away, and she was
it
like,
was
my
very weird.
only son, my baby. Like
Yeah,
that broke my heart. That made me sad.
that was so strange. And then, yeah, Meredith came over. Or wait, not Meredith. I get their names mixed up. It's
No,
so
Mary went
bad.
over to Mary. Oh, not Meredith went over to Mary's.
Okay, yeah, it was Meredith. I get
Yeah,
Lisa and Meredith mixed up. That's so bad.
definitely not Lisa. went over to Mary's house.
No,
definitely not Lisa.
That's
it was
not happening.
No,
but that
it was
platter
Meredith.
of food made me LOL. Like, I'm a 60-year-old woman saying LOL, but like, what was on that platter? Her kitchen was unexpectedly fun and blue.
I know. Did she redo it?
I think so. I don't remember that. I don't
Good for
remember
Mary.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a weird moment.
Weird scene. She's like, I found out my son's married.
Yeah, and Meredith's like,
oh. Yeah.
Yeah, and then now we're at Angie K's party, and she invites everyone except for Meredith, which, I mean, not surprised.
Yeah.
And Monica, that whole fight was weird, and then how it turned into about her and her mom was very, like, I don't know. It was all very surreal to watch it. I know you have a lot of thoughts on it.
I don't know. It was just spiraling, and I see how she got angry. Like, her mom was trying to like quiet her down, and like there's a lot of triggering things, and I'm sure she has a lot of history with her mom that just spirals her anger out of control and her reaction to her mom.
I mean, she's kind of discussed it when we like first were introduced to Monica and her family and their dynamic, but you can really see it play out there. And I definitely felt for Monica in that moment.
Me
like
too,
she's just trying to get her point across, and her mom's like I didn't think she was being obnoxious or loud or
the mom was annoying everyone, I think.
Yeah.
Like, everyone was like weirded out by her mom.
Well, even off the bat, when they walked in and she met Angie's dad, and she's like, "Oh, are you single?"
Single, yeah.
And you just see Monica like, that is not why we're here. Yeah.
So cringy. But during her confessional, Monica was like, I hate to say it, but I just wish I had a different mom. And that was like the saddest thing ever. So sad.
It was.
But anyway, yeah, that fight was weird. Her mom seems to want to be on camera a lot.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Her kids are so sweet.
Yeah, they were so cute. Okay, I was dying when they threw the money and they were just shoving money down her shirt. It was so cute. I was like, get it.
I was like, yes, queen.
This whole fight with Angie and Monica right now on social media is wild.
Oh my God, I know.
Wild.
Like, I'm
going down the stairs.
I know. I feel like we need to see the rest of the season to understand.
I know.
Because, I mean, we just got the mid-season trailer.
Which looks bonkers. I can't wait.
So bonkers. I can't wait for their trip.
Yes.
Because it looks like that's really where it all culminates and blows up. Yeah. And I can't wait for a reunion because I love a reunion.
Okay, I'm kind of loving Meredith being the villain of this season.
But she's like the non-villain villain. Like, she's really not a villain, but there really
I love
isn't
all these
a villain.
clips with her like saying things drunkenly. It's so funny. It's so funny.
I just love her in general. I don't think I could ever view her as a villain because she really isn't. Like, she's not a villain.
I love her.
I love her. Oh, I can't wait for the rest of it. Yes. Thanks to you, I finished The Fall of the House of Usher.
Oh, you finished it? Yes. How do you feel?
I loved it.
Yeah.
Loved it. It wasn't that jump scary.
It's gruesome.
It's definitely more of like, it was definitely gruesome, but it was definitely like more thrillery than jump scary. So I really loved it.
Okay.
But thank you for getting me into it.
Dude, so good. I want to rewatch it.
Yeah, my mom was like, is there anything good on Netflix? And I was like, The Fall of the House of Usher, but it's definitely not for you.
I know. I told my parents to watch it. I'm like, they're going to start it and just turn it right off.
My mom will hate it. My mom hates Halloween. She says it's not a pretty holiday. That it's ugly.
It can be pretty. Look, sparkly cat ears.
Not to her. Not to her.
I know.
It's an ugly holiday. So
I kind of get it, but
no, I do too.
I'm
She's like orange and black.
I know.
I'm like,
the
Mom,
colors are rough, but
it's pretty heinous. Yeah. But yeah, that was so good. If you haven't watched it, watch it.
Watch it.
watch it.
It's beautifully done. It's like there are kitschy things, but it's so great. Like I don't know, beautiful.
It's so good. Yeah, some of the parts, like when I was texting you during it and being like demon cat.
I know,
like,
and the monkey,
okay.
like a lot of it.
That part where she's just like, fuck it. And I'm like, really?
It's poetry. They're all like symbols. So it ties in, and I don't know. Great. I love it.
Really good. Really, really good.
I just started reading a book called The Guest by Emma Cline.
Ooh.
She wrote The Girls. I'm like,
oh my God, it's such a good book.
Yeah. So I'm like, I don't know, like 10 pages in. So I don't have much to share, but it's about this girl with drug problems, kind of spiraling after a breakup and trying to stay in that like elite rich world where her ex-boyfriend was in, and trying to date around to stay in that class. And it's very interesting, kind of a spiraling out of control situation, which is my vibe.
I'm gonna add that to my list.
Yeah.
Starting Tuesday, I pre-ordered Britney Spears' Woman in Me, so I will be fully immersed in that.
Yes. Amazing.
Yeah. Also some random Housewives like news things that came up today before we started talking. The cast trip for New Jersey has been canceled to the Berkshires because none of them can be around each other for more than 3 days.
Oh my gosh.
So that cast trip's been canceled. And then this article came out about Heather Dubrow, and it said the newest RHOBH star. So she might be moving from Orange County to Beverly Hills.
I think she might fit in better in Beverly Hills. Don't you think?
Yeah, but can she hold her own in Beverly Hills?
Ugh. It's going to be tough. I can't wait.
So those are just two things I wanted to throw out there because I'm like, all these things are happening now.
Oh gosh.
And Beverly Hills is starting
in like 4 days. Yeah.
Starting in like 2 weeks.
No, in like 4 days, isn't it?
I thought it was November. When does it start?
Oh,
Potomac starts in November.
Oh,
I cannot wait. I love Potomac.
So do I. I haven't watched the last season though.
My God, I love Potomac so much. Okay, so season 14 starts October 25th this week. Or
gosh. Yeah.
25th.
3 days.
So spooky week.
We're putting this out after it'll come out though.
Yeah, obviously. So if you didn't know, we kind of do some recordings ahead of time because of that one time it took us 3 weeks to figure it out. And
it's
then
just our schedule.
Yeah. And then the new season of Potomac, I think, is November.
Yes.
November 5th.
Will be great. It'll be filled.
We're gonna have so many Housewives and Southern Charm, and they just filmed the opening sequence for Vanderpump Rules, the new season. Yes. So who knows when that comes back? It must be soon.
Okay, I've been listening to Disgusting Tom Sandoval's podcast. Honestly, just because I ran out of episodes of my normal podcast and it just like popped up because I played the first one. And then I've been listening to it. It's horrible. Like he is digging himself into a hole.
Okay.
Like
maybe
all his guests are like, you're a piece of shit, basically on the podcast to him. They're like, you never took accountability, dude. Like they say.
So do you think it's worth us reviewing it?
Possibly. I don't know. It's just kind of like, do we want to give him more airtime?
That's true.
Like, but
guys, tell us what you want us to talk about, or else we're gonna have to talk about Sandoval. We don't want to.
Yeah, you gotta tell us.
Yes, please tell us. What an episode, Kaisa. This one was heavy, and then it got less heavy, and now we're talking about Sandoval.
It ended on a worse note.
Your note.
But thank you guys for listening.
Thanks. And don't forget, like, comment, subscribe, review. If you leave us a review, we will read it. And go follow us on Instagram at Crime Cocktails and BS. You don't want to miss what we're posting. People are loving it.
Come on.
Kaisa's like the graphic design guru who puts together these incredible posts.
We're both bosses at
We
it.
are. But go like, subscribe, and do all the fun things so you don't miss out.
Please
Okay?
do.
Please and thank you, because we're about to head into the thanking and grateful season, and we want to be grateful for you. So do it.
So aggressive. We want to be grateful for you.
There's been a lot of Housewives recently.
I love it.
Love it. All right. Bye, guys.